Welcome to Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. My favorite time to go out in an ambulance call was about 3 o'clock in the morning. Sounds strange, I know, but what I loved was the 40-minute ride home from the hospital through the Iowa countryside. On that return trip in the wee hours of the morning, I could see the lights starting to come on in the farmhouses as we passed by, and I tried to imagine the people inside getting out of bed and starting their morning routines. It just really fascinates me. We say goodbye to the day every night as the dark closes in, and suddenly we begin again when the day dawns and light starts to take over the sky. Morning does something to our souls, often to our sense of hope. Do you suppose it's because of the light and that we can see more fully? Darkness narrows our scope of sight in so many ways. You know, years ago, I found a Russian folktale called Vasilisa the Beautiful. In the story, Vasilisa is captured in a cottage deep in the forest by her evil stepmother. All she has is the little doll her mother had given her before she died. Alone in the darkness, Vasilisa begins to cry. Her tears fall on the little doll, who suddenly turns into a beautiful fairy. She looks at Vasilisa tenderly and says, "Vasilisa, dry your tears. Fear is worse at night. Tomorrow will come." That little story with that powerful message reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. It goes, "The difference between hope and despair is a good night's sleep." The painter Kadir Nelson said, "Train your eyes on the light." Many of you know the story of the professor who gave his students a sheet of paper with a black dot in the center. He asked them to write about what they saw. As you can imagine, they all wrote about the black dot, not mentioning all the white around it. We so often focus on what is wrong, the black dot or darkness of a situation, and miss what is right or the light. Kadir Nelson is right. I believe we train our eyes to be on the dark, and we could train them to be on the light. It's kind of like the story of the two brothers that were discovered by some scientists. One of the brothers was always negative, complaining about everything and anything. The other brother was consistently positive, looking toward the bright side of whatever happened. The scientists conducted an experiment. They put the negative brother in a room filled with everything a kid could want: toys, food, computer games. The other brother, they put in a room filled with manure. After 4 hours, they went to check on the boys. They found the negative, cantankerous brother to be just as ornery as when he entered the room. He complained he didn't get to have a certain toy, a certain food, certain games, and so on and so on. Then they checked on the happy-go-lucky brother. When they went into the room, they found him with his head in the manure, digging away. When he heard them, he looked up and smiled and said, "With all this manure, I know there has to be a pony in here somewhere." His eyes were trained to look on the light. Where are your eyes trained? I have mentioned before that one of the powerful tools in teaching people to be resilient is the ability to reframe. It's seeing your life surrounded by manure and determining to find the pony in it somewhere. Reframing, though, takes practice. But by training your eyes on the light, it can become a habit. It doesn't mean you have to block out the bad, the sad, the disappointing, and be a Pollyanna wearing only rose-colored glasses. It gives you the ability to find balance, focus on hope, and endure. It keeps us from becoming engulfed in the darkness of the events of life. So what does that look like in our everyday? Sometimes it is that little thing that we can do to reframe our focus. I mentioned before that when I debrief trauma, at the end of the session, I always ask people to describe what they love to do so much that when they do it, time disappears. For me, it is playing the piano or doing a jigsaw puzzle. It becomes my pony in the manure. Regaining that focus so often helps us see through the haze to hope or possibility, even if it's just for a minute. Because remember, you can always add another minute, and soon the dawn comes like it does in the morning. Hope can be restored by taking our eyes off the black dot on the page and finding the white surrounding it. The last 2 words my dad said to me before he died were, "Stay curious." That has been my pony. It's like the lights coming on in the homes that I saw on those early morning ambulance calls, reminding me that after darkness, we begin again. Draw a pony and put it on your bathroom mirror. Determined to train yourself to look for it each and every day. Join me next Monday for Live, Life-Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.